Hello, I'm Jennifer Sperry, the Executive Director for the National Adult Protective Services Association. As we acknowledge Giving Tuesday, I want to take a moment to thank each of you, our APS professionals, allied partners, sponsors, and supporters, for the work you do every day to protect and empower vulnerable adults. Your commitment to advocacy, justice, and community is what drives everything we do at NAPSA. Whether you're on the front lines, working directly with clients, or developing policy and funding initiatives, or raising awareness, you are part of this mission, and we are so grateful to you. This year, our Giving Tuesday theme is Advocacy in Action. It starts with you. Those words truly reflect what we've seen across the country and in the territories this year. Real advocacy in action. Today, you'll hear from many different people, all involved in NAPSA. Kendra Keene is our policy analyst, and she will highlight the work of NAPSA in the past year. And I have to give a huge shout out to Kendra for the advocacy work she has done this year. Then you'll get to know Anita Ballard, the winner of the NAPSA President's Award this year in Bellevue, Washington. Anita highlights the incredible work done on a particular case in Mississippi that is rather harrowing, but please keep in mind that in most cases, APS helps clients remain in their homes in the community. After Anita, Peggy Jo Archer from the International Association of Indigenous Aging will share with you the work of tribal APS that we have highlighted at our past two conferences and the collaboration that is necessary when working with tribal elders. Kez Wold, our board president at NAPSA, follows Peggy Jo by shining a light on a Texas APS supervisor, Rashida Davis Parker, who won the Supervisor of the Year award in Texas. Not a small feat in a large state of Texas. Congratulations, Rashida. Finally, and certainly the glue to all NAPSA events and development, Tamisha Squire will close the session and wrap up the reason for Giving Tuesday and why NAPSA relies so much on donations, membership, and volunteers. At NAPSA, we're proud to serve as a connector, bringing together states and territories, partners and advocates who share the vision of a nation where every adult can live free from abuse and neglect and financial exploitation. As we look ahead, your support on Giving Tuesday helps us continue this vital work, expanding training, strengthening partnerships, and developing tools that help APS programs do their best work. So today, I invite you to take action, whether by giving, by sharing our message, or simply by reaching out to thank an APS professional for the work they do. Thank you for being part of this movement, for standing with us, and for helping us build a safer, stronger, and more connected community. Because at NAPSA, advocacy and action truly starts with you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kendra Keene, and along with Bill Benson, we serve as NAPSA's National Policy and Advocacy Team. Here in the nation's capital, we work on advocating for APS at the national level with other organizations supporting older adults and people with disabilities through leadership in coalitions and other partnerships. But most importantly, I have the honor of supporting NAPSA's amazing membership and its leaders. They are the true leaders in the field, and we would not be where we are federally without them. With their support, we are able to promote innovative policy and, most importantly, advocate for funding to APS and the clients they serve. Over the past few years, we've seen some incredible change in the recognition of APS congressionally and in the executive branch. From federal guidelines based on NAPSA's proposed standards to federal regulations promulgated in 2024, we applaud the Administration for Community Living, particularly the Office of Elder Justice and APS, for their leadership and commitment. We also saw the historic first direct federal funding to APS in 2021, which has continued, albeit at an insufficient amount, to this day. This has only been possible through APS leaders educating members of Congress. But threats to the minimal funding APS receives federally continue, and the challenges continue. The Social Services Block Grant was under threat of elimination this summer. SSBG funds almost 40 APS programs, and some of them are entirely funded through SSBG. And it was only saved through work with National Coalition partners, and particularly by advocacy from APS directors, some of whom came to DC to speak to their members of Congress. And currently, the House of Representatives fiscal year 2026 appropriations or funding bill explicitly eliminates the Elder Justice Act funding that goes directly to APS program operations. While this is only $15 million across 50 states, DC, and the territories, it's an important line item, an important marker, and it's a drop in the bucket of federal funding, but an important source of innovation for funding additional staff, technology upgrades, services, and much more. We applaud the Senate for retaining this funding in their bill, and with the leadership and advocacy of APS, we are working to make sure this funding is in any final bill passed by Congress and signed by the President. Serving as NAPSA's policy leadership is really just as much listening as it is advocacy. It's listening to our regional leaders, our state directors, and members in the field to ensure the needs of APS are reflected in everything we say to our nation's leaders. The most rewarding part to me is listening to the state directors, listening to the members talk about the difference the national advocacy has made. It's learning that federal funding translates into real outcomes, as simple as allowing a caseworker to implement a stair lift that helps keep a client living in their own home, or some of the more challenging processes of upgrading a state's data system, which allows them to be more effective, efficient, and promotes that advocacy with the data. And for me, advocacy in action means empowering NAPSA members to share those successes with Congress and the administration and convey how important this federal support is, from funding to ensuring that regulations truly meet the field's needs. It means consistently raising the needs of APS workers and programs and celebrating the successes. But again, most importantly, working with those leaders in the field and helping them share the stories. We know Congress wants to hear from you all and not us, and we enjoy celebrating your successes and your leadership. Advocacy in action means creating lasting change, one decision, one partnership, and one person at a time.
This is kind of funny, but not so funny, but I'll never forget it. Long as I live, I was a frontline worker doing APS work, and we actually received a report on a 90-year-old blind woman. The report indicated that the home health agent had found a dead mouse in her glass and that she was being neglected. And of course, that was one I was very interested in getting out on just to see if it was true, you know. Yeah. So when upon interviewing her, she admitted that, you know, she almost drank a live mouse and she was blind. And I did ask the question, how did you know it was a mouse? And she said, well, when I began to drink, it wiggled. I was like, oh my God. Wow. So she said, yeah, she almost drank it, but she couldn't, you know, dispose of it. So that's when the home health people found the dead mouse in her glass. So in fact, she almost drank a live mouse. So upon my discovery, I observed that there was a severe mouse infestation. The home was not clean. It had a strong foul odor. The caregiver was not very cooperative. She was not clean herself. And, you know, I'm very nosy by nature, but in social work, we do have to be nosy. So I'm very observant. So I saw some other things going on. First of all, I saw that her scalp was spotted. And I was like, what in the devil is going on with her hair? You know, and then, you know, of course, the caregiver said, well, you know, I'm taking care of her, you know, you can look at her. So she threw the covers back. and I saw a foot. And I said, oh my God, her big toe is completely black. There's a problem here. And she was like, oh, no, 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 there's not a problem. I said, no, we need to contact AMR and get somebody out here to look at this foot. And she said, no, 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 you're not getting anybody out here. So I proceeded to call law enforcement. Law enforcement came out and they said, oh, yeah, we're calling AMR and she's going to go to the doctor. And so I called ahead of time to let the hospital know that she was coming. And so we worked together and that was coordinated. Okay, we'll take her. So immediately we're in a small town, small hospital. So they immediately sent her to Jackson, to our main hospital, which is UMMC. And they were alerted too that she was coming. Okay, so once she got there, and I said, I'm interested in knowing what was going on with her foot. And they said, oh, yeah, it's gangrenous. We're going to have to amputate. So I said, oh, my goodness. And then I said, well, what was going on with her hair? She said, Miss Anita, that was malnutrition. And I was like, oh, my God, she was malnourished. So she, let alone almost drinking a mouse, she wasn't eating any either. So that was a problem. And so, I had to get the AGO, vulnerable persons unit involved, because once they amputated her toe, it was our recommendation that she go into a nursing home. And she tried to interfere with that. And she wanted to go. She had capacity, so she wanted to go. She did go. And the nursing home called and said, the caregiver's here trying to get her out. AGO stepped in and said, oh, yeah, if you go get her, we're going to lock you up. So that stopped that. She thrived after being placed in a nursing home. I know sometimes people don't like nursing homes, but in that case scenario, that was the best place for her. I went to visit her afterwards. She was so happy and thriving, and all of her basic needs have been met. So that was, I would say, a successful case. So, and I never will forget it. We always talk about the mouse. My philosophy is we take one day at a time, one situation at a time, one problem at a time, almost like a puzzle. I often describe it as a puzzle, and we have to gather all the pieces and bring them together and see, and mainly focus on what's in the best interest of the client. What do they want? What do they desire? Let's look at this, let's work with family, and together we come up with a solution. Do we always find a solution that day? No, we don't always find a solution. We have to comb the highways and the byways and try to find family, friends, neighbors, anybody that's willing to step up to the plate and help out. So we just take it one day at a time, one situation at a time, one problem at a time. So there have been many, many moments that remind me why this work truly matters. One of the most meaningful is when I get to advocate for the individuals whose voices might otherwise be overlooked because their desires or wants or needs don't line up with what everybody else wants. And usually when we get a report of abuse, neglect, or exploitation, the end result is that they go to a nursing home. Many people don't want to go to a nursing home. Being a voice for the voiceless, leading by example so that others coming behind me can be empowered to do the same. To those who needed it the most. Many people don't realize that, APS workers are often, put in situations that could be dangerous for them as well as the adult. And they have to navigate a lot of emotionally charged environments. Once that, when we come in, usually they think that we're home health or hospice or somebody coming in and offer service, which we are offering a service, but at the same time, when they realize that we're closely related to CPS, they automatically get defensive and say, hey, but we're here to help. We're a social service program, and we do a lot with a little. I mean, we have limited resources. A lot of people, believe it or not, feel like, the aging, they don't need any help, but they do. They need support. They need love. They need somebody to listen, if nothing more. Again, being a voice for the voiceless.
My name is Peggy Jo. I'm the director of the Elder Justice Projects with I8 which is the International Association for Indigenous Aging. Under my portfolio, we operate a National Resource Center, which is, you'll hear me refer to it throughout this conversation as NAGI, which is the Native American Elder Justice Initiative. It's a cooperative agreement through ACL, and the mission of the Resource Center is to provide technical assistance to tribal nations and emphasizing and strengthening their adult protection services work, and to develop materials and resources for elder justice in Indian country. Collaboration is actually at the forefront of our work. There are 574 federally recognized tribes, and they all do their elder justice work differently. Not one tribe is the same in terms of looking at their law and order code to, do they have an adult protection group? Do they have an adult protection program? And so our job is really rooted in collaboration and being able to build strong and meaningful partnerships with the tribes to be able to understand their infrastructure so that we're able to support their elder justice work. But not only that, is that we're using that information to develop resources that can support elder justice in Indian country. So we couldn't do our work without effective and meaningful collaboration. This last week, we got a call from a hospital in Washington State, and they said, we have a tribal member who is not an enrolled member of a nearby tribe, which would be the tribes in Washington State. And they said, we don't know how to navigate this, but we know that we need to get in contact with the tribe to try to do some cross resources there. And so I was able to reach out. I had a contact in that tribe, which is in another state. I had a good contact to just pick up the phone, call, and say, hey, we have one of your tribal members who is an elder in a trauma hospital right now, and they're needing some tribal support. And if I didn't have those numbers and was able to have that person pick up my call through collaboration, and then on the other hand, if that hospital didn't hear from us or have that strong collaboration, we wouldn't be able to have that elder service in the way that they are serviced. That is a really great question to ask, because we do work with obviously tribal nations, and there is a history of historical trauma and distrust in outside agencies that are non-tribal or that are not within the tribe. And so the approach that I take when working with tribes is really going in with cultural humility and sensitivity. And I know that might sound easy. We can look up the definition of what those mean and kind of practice it. But it's different when you're actually in the field and trying to do so. And something that I do is I go in there and I acknowledge that I'm not a part of their community, and that I am a visitor to their community with good intentions. And I ask questions that I don't understand, but I ask them not in a way that is asking them because I feel like their practices are not applicable or ethical or practical. I ask them so that I could better support them. We often see in those conversations that we ask questions because we want to know, like, why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it the Western way? And that comes off very judgmental. And so I try to frame my questions to be more collaborative than, judgmental. Challenges is obviously the historical trauma and the mistrust. I have had to rebuild relationships that have been maybe not built in the right way before. And so I've had to show my commitment and to be consistent with my work to show that I do come with good intentions because of maybe past relationships. And so that's really something that I don't, if I send an email and I don't get a response, that's not my one try. I try again and I try different ways. And sometimes the one email that I'm sending isn't the way to connect. There might be maybe I'm sharing a resource. I'm sharing a resource and they realize that I am trying to support their community in different ways, not just asking them to be on a panel or asking them to help me do my work. It's really this interchangeable resources and, you know, giving and partnerships. What I find to be successful is that you really understand what your community is facing. You might have a perception of what is the community has faced or is currently facing from an outside sense. But when you go into the community, you realize that it is vastly different than what a book tells you, with the TV, with the news reports, what you feel that you've known from other testimony. And so really going into community and leaving your biases and leaving what you know to be true or to be semi-true, and really listen to the community. Because sometimes we go into communities and we think like, oh, there's lots of challenges, and actually there's not. They actually have a really good working system and a responsive system to serving their adults, and it might not be in a way that we see in textbooks or that we see other states doing, but it is an effective way. And so if anything, I just think that it's effective to go in there and actually listen and see how effective programs are, and then where their challenges are. As a whole, seeing clients being served they're across the nation, across Indian country, and across all 50 states, we are seeing tribal members and tribal elders being served with culturally appropriate ways, culturally competent professionals in the field. And that goes from on tribal and off tribal, because we just don't work with tribes, we work with people who are servicing tribes. Like if you go to a certain state and maybe there's 23 to 49 to 39, 109 tribes in that state, we know a lot of those tribal members are living off tribal lands. So we do spend time training non-tribal professionals. And so when you see that cross-sectional training, we see it in the field. We see the elders being served. We see family members and community members saying, wow, they really took into our culture what we wanted for our elder, for our vulnerable adult. Yeah, thank you for asking that question. So I was thinking back at this question, and I come from a community and a family who has done APS for a very long time, and not the APS that most people know today. It's more of a grassroots APS, because I come from a very underprivileged community with low resources and low to minimal to none response systems. I have learned from growing up the importance and the need for community response. My family has never has an official title for APS, but they've been doing APS work for longer than I have even been alive. And so when I think about the work that I do today, I obviously do it with a title, with experience, with education, with access and opportunity. But what really pushes that work is that I come from a grassroots APS family. And so that's really what pushes my work. Yeah, that is leadership. The first thing that came to mind was leadership. And you have to have culturally appropriate leadership. What I've seen in my experience is that there's a lot of leaders in this movement. However, they don't bring themselves down to the community level and really listen to the community and hear community needs. And what I've noticed too is that sometimes we do have listening sessions and listen to the community, but we take those community testimonies and put them in ways that were not shared with us. We write them and document them in a way that the community use different words. They use different ways of saying what they do, and then we translated it into a way that isn't really what the community said and is doing in their community. So having effective leadership where you're going into the community and actually staying within community practices, but strengthening it.
Good morning. I'm Kez Wold with Adult Protective Services in the state of Texas, the great state of Texas. APS supervision is one of the most critical aspects of APS work. The supervisors are key to quality investigations and quality services, to staff retention and staff support. And that's why in Texas, we recognize a Supervisor of the Year. This year, it was received by our Houston District Supervisor, Rashida Davis Parker. And I would like to read part of the nomination write-up that we received on Rashida. With 19 years of APS service, this supervisor's commitment to protecting vulnerable adults is evident in every aspect of her work. She lives by her favorite quote, "Every job is a self-portrait of the person who did it. Autograph your work with excellence." Among her most notable contributions are an APS workbook, a list of best case practices, and a comprehensive set of frequently used supervisor consults. She also developed a critical case review training, which equips our staff with the tools needed to effectively manage a case from start to finish. Her impact extends beyond her team. She also serves on our Speakers Bureau, our Strategic Planning Initiatives Group, and she works on coordinating the district zip code alignment plan and their on-call plan. Additionally, she supports district-wide operations, and she mentors new supervisors, fostering staff development and retention. More than just a colleague, she is the heart of her team. She's positive, supportive, and always ready to help. As a mentor and motivator, she uplifts others with her energy and her genuine care for both personal and professional well-being. Her deep commitment to APS reflects her belief that this work is her life's purpose, and her passion continues to inspire those around her. Rashida Davis Parker in our Houston district is our Supervisor of the Year, and she represents so many other great supervisors across the state and across the country who are striving to provide excellent services and excellent investigations to APS clients. We have a great relationship with the Sheriff's Office in Harris County and the Fire Department in Harris County. They work together with APS on a task force, and that task force addresses unlicensed boarding homes. And they go work together when they identify these homes and they need to be shut down. We coordinate with them, they coordinate with us. We go in as a team and we identify clients who may need our services, and we're able to help assist finding them placement, medical treatment if they need it, while law enforcement does their side of things, addressing whatever the problem may be, shutting down the boarding home, and fire department is there with EMS to make sure that if there are medical issues that they're taken care of. I think it's a great arrangement, and that task force has closed down, and I'm quoting them, 98 different homes in Houston that were not providing good care. I think you do it by providing excellent investigations and quality services to all clients. When you do your job and you do it well, people recognize it, they notice it, and they reciprocate, they collaborate. I think the other critical element is to help people understand what APS can do, but also what APS can't do. And that way you build a relationship where there's mutual understanding. What's your role? What's my role? How can I help? How can I refer to you appropriately? And those relationships then become much stronger. Busy, we're all busy. APS, caseworkers, supervisors, managers, all have full-time jobs. And it's very important for them to recognize, and all of us to recognize, that community outreach, building those relationships and those collaborations is a key part of the job. And so it's not just knocking on doors and conducting investigations and providing services. It's establishing relationships and credibility with your community partners. And that's something that we really strive to do in Texas. It means standing up for our clients, standing up for the work that we do, and making sure that we are at the table when decisions are being made. And that's what I expect of myself and all of my staff.
Hi everyone, I'm Tamisha Squire, but you can call me T for short. I am the Director of Development, Events, and Marketing here at NAPSA. As we close out the year and celebrate Giving Tuesday, I want to take a few minutes to reflect on what we've learned, what's next, and how your partnerships continue to drive innovation in the adult protective services community. This year has truly been about connection, showing up for one another, learning from each other, and building on the belief that together we make the most lasting impact. At this year's NAPSA conference, we were fortunate to welcome over 929 attendees in person. Wow! APS professionals, advocates, researchers, and sponsors, all united by the same goal of protecting and empowering vulnerable adults. The energy was inspiring. Each conversation, session, and hallway exchange reminded us that collaboration doesn't just strengthen our work, it transforms it. We learned that when we come together to share the strategies, experiences, and data, we discover new solutions to old challenges. Whether in workshops, roundtables, or informal discussions, every interaction helped us grow stronger as a national network. This year reinforced something that we've always known. The power of this community lies in the people that show up with commitment, compassion, and a drive to make things better. We also saw once again how partnerships drive innovation. Across the board, we witnessed how sponsors and collaborators are helping us advance APS practices, from financial institutions working to prevent exploitation and fraud, to technology partners building smarter tools for case management, to universities deepening our understanding of the people and systems we serve. These relationships are what makes progress possible. Every partner, donor, and organization that contributes to our work helps us expand training opportunities, increase national awareness, and strengthen local programs. So when we say it starts with you, that's not just a campaign slogan. It's a statement of truth. Every effort, every dollar, every partnership fuels the change that we need. As we look ahead, there's so much to be excited about. In 2026, NAPSA will gather in Austin, Texas, a city known for creativity, collaboration, and innovation. We'll continue building on what we've learned this year by offering more interactive sessions, hands-on learning opportunities, and spaces for connection across agencies and disciplines. Our goal for Austin is simple: to keep inspiring each other to lead boldly, think creatively, and strengthen the partnerships that make APS work so impactful. As we celebrate Giving Tuesday, we invite you to be a part of what's next. Your support helps us continue providing vital training, advancing best practices, and creating opportunities for APS professionals nationwide to connect and grow. Whether through sponsorship, donation, or advocacy, every contribution moves our mission forward. So thank you for your partnership, your belief in this work, and helping us continue to innovate for the people that we serve. Together, we are shaping the future of APS because it truly starts with you. Thank you so much.